Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, or the Theme Park Evangelist. Well, I was actually going to do a YouTube video yesterday, but yesterday was kind of a boring day to me, and I was just having a really rough day. To be honest, I've been having a very rough day today too, actually 10 times worse than yesterday, but I've been feeling more talkative, so I figured I would just go ahead and do a YouTube video. Plus, I don't know what it is about like talking to people or even doing YouTubing, but it's just been keeping my mind distracted, and I definitely uh, need to keep my mind distracted today. So, anyhow, 5 years ago today, TJ and I went all the way out to Universal Orlando Resort to go and check out Volcano Bay for the very first time. It was a brand new water theme park and the very first one to ever open at Universal Orlando Resort. And it was honestly a very interesting experience. We waited virtually approximately 2 hours just to ride their water coaster, Krakatoa. In fact, TJ still has a picture of his wristband or whatever you call those things, the tapu tapu. That's right. Of when we first got in the virtual line for Krakatoa, and he clocked in at 180 minutes, and that was a 3 hour wait. So we actually waited at least 3 hours, if not more, for Krakatoa virtually, and that was one of the few things we got to do that day. But that's not why I'm here tonight. I wanted to bring that up at the very beginning because I really wanted to share that with you guys. In fact, if you check out my Facebook page right now, you'll notice that my profile picture has been updated. I actually updated it overnight, so it now has a picture of me and TJ. Even though we're not friends anymore, that doesn't mean that he's still not like a brother to me. In front of Volcano Bay, not the entrance, but the other one in front of the actual volcano, and I have in captions, "Happy 5th Birthday Volcano Bay" in red. And then my cover photo is a picture of Volcano Bay as well. So I would definitely encourage you guys to go on my Universal Orlando Resort vlogs, or playlist, I should say, and look up my Volcano Bay YouTube videos, and you can find some really cool YouTube videos of Volcano Bay. If I'm not mistaken, I did about 3 of them that day. So I would definitely encourage you to check those out. I used my old video camera, so the quality may be kind of but I still am glad that I have the video footage. And honestly, my first time visiting Volcano Bay vlog has a couple of thousand views already, which is pretty impressive. Volcano Bay was a really cool and popular water park, and it still is to this day, and it's come a long ways over the past 5 years. Well, the main reason why I actually wanted to talk to you guys tonight was actually I was thinking today about doing a different YouTube video discussion, and I would like to talk to you guys about how do I personally budget for my Central Florida trips. I've talked to you guys in the past, whether it was down in Florida, whether it's been up here in Kentucky, about about how to budget for a Central Florida trip. But now I would like to talk to you guys about how I do it. I'm going to start going through all the different things that I do to save money going to Central Florida or while I'm in Central Florida. And then I'm going to give you guys some encouragement to possibly look into doing the same exact thing. Now, obviously, everybody does not go to Central Florida on their vacations, but I know a lot of people do. And as everybody knows, Central Florida is my number one favorite place to go on a vacation every single year. So, the number one money saving tip that I always use when I go to Central Florida is I always go with Southwest Airlines. that does not mean that everybody else has to go Southwest Airlines. The reason why I always go with Southwest Airlines is because I get to put my 30, 40 pound suitcase, that's how many clothes I pack, or how much clothes I pack, into my suitcase. And not to mention, not only can I bring that with me, but I also, that flies for free. And I also can get a really good deal through Southwest Airlines. Now, let me tell you, I was determined to fly as cheap as possible this last trip. So, not only did I get a good sale because I bought the plane ticket during the winter when their rates are usually pretty low, but I kept modifying my flight over and over again, like almost every single day. I kept looking to see if there was going to be a cheaper flight at the same exact time. And much to my surprise, after 2 months of just checking every single day for 2 months straight, I managed to bring my round trip flight from Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky International Airport to Orlando and back down below $100. That's very good. Considering when I originally booked the flight, it was over $250. That means I saved at least $150, if not more, on my flight, just by constantly checking to see if there was any cheaper rates. And you can easily do that with Southwest Airlines. I can't exactly say the same thing about the others, but I know that I can do that with Southwest Airlines, and you could too. Money saving tip number 2 that I always like to use is I always find somebody that I can stay with while I'm in Central Florida. That does not mean that everybody has to. There's always those people that like to go down to Central Florida that like to stay at their favorite Disney resort or just a Disney resort in general. Then there's always those people that are like, man, I really want to go stay at Universal, one of their hotels. That's fine. You can do that. You can even go stay at Legoland, at the Beach Retreat. They also have the Legoland Hotel. They also have the Pirates Island Hotel. I mean, it's your decision. I mean, I've honestly done a staycation in Central Florida about 5 years ago, a little more than 5 years ago. TJ and I did a staycation in Central Florida back when my YouTube skills were so bad. And also, that's when I had the old camera, so video quality was not that great either. My hands were really shaky at the same exact time. But I did stay at a motel, and we stayed at this motel, TJ and I, for about 3 days or so. And, it was fun. It was enjoyable. We had the free continental breakfast. But anyhow, when I go down to Florida these days, which I've been doing this for about 3 years now, I've always stayed with somebody. Well, up until a few months ago almost, TJ and I were still friends. So TJ always had the room for me. He's always had at least 1 or 2 rooms that I could stay in. Now, I am a lot, better about the whole TJ situation now than I was about a month ago, but that doesn't mean that I still want to be his friend. But I did still want to share with you guys stuff about him because we were friends a long time. So it's still, hard for me to, forget, completely move on past him. And I know there are people that are like, why don't you just get back together with him? Well, I have a lot of reasons why I don't want to be his friend again. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to be his brother. And that doesn't mean that I can't stay in touch with him. I can't stay neutral. And I'm actually very happy this way. I feel like I'm a lot happier this way. And that's okay. So, anyhow, the biggest reason why I've always enjoyed staying with TJ, because he actually lives about 10 minutes away from where I used to live. Not to mention, as I said, he had the room or an extra room or 2 that I could stay in. He's always had at least a bed or a place for me to put my air mattress if I ever drove down, for example. And TJ's also been very good about, or always has been very good about, having some kind of groceries in the house, which is actually money saving tip number 3, but I'll get there in a little bit. And TJ's always been very good about driving me around everywhere. And the fact that I help him out around the house as a payment back to him, and I'm willing to spend time with him for driving me around everywhere, which is also why he's never asked me for gas money. So not only am I saving hundreds of dollars by staying with him, but I'm also saving a lot of money on gas. Now, the other nice thing is, even though TJ and I are no longer friends, I did reconnect with some family friends, well, really close friends of mine to be more specific, that I used to go to church with a long time ago. And they happen to live in Lake Wales. Actually, two of them live not too far from TJ, and the other two live off of alternate 27, Highway 17. For those of you who are not familiar with what I'm talking about, there is a highway on the other side of Lake Wales. Change of plans. Had to relocate. YouTube filming locations. Got booted out of the room I was in. Anyway, I was saying that, just because of the fact that TJ was. Well, I'm trying to remember exactly what I was talking about. I was talking about how TJ was really good about, driving me around everywhere. But, at the same time, I am very thankful also for the fact that I do have those close friends. I think that's actually what I was talking about. So I was mentioning I have those close friends that live in Florida. So, yes, I have the two close friends that live near TJ, and then I got the other two close friends. Now I remember what I was talking about. So I was trying to explain where Highway 27, or well, what alternate 27 is. So let's say that you're in the Lake Wales area, which is the home of Boktar Gardens. Highway 27 is a major highway that runs all the way from Miami, Florida, all the way to Ocala, if I'm not mistaken, maybe further north. So in the Lake Wales area, Highway 27 is there. Obviously, it's one of the more quieter parts of the highway because the population of Lake Wales is only about 10,000 people, and that's really nothing. But there is another highway on the other side of it. You have to take a side road to get to it, and that highway is called Alternate 27 or Highway 17. And that road goes all the way from Frostproof Sebring area all the way up to Haines City. Well, at least the beginning of it. And then eventually that will turn into another major road called 1792, which will eventually take you all the way to Apopka. So I'm trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page as me. So these friends live off of this road called 17 and then, or Highway 17, and then they live down a couple of side roads, and then they live out in the middle of the country, but they're still on the Lake Wales limits, as interesting as that is. But they did tell me back a couple of months ago, our home is your home. So if I ever am in the area and I need somewhere I can stay, they have opened their house to me so I can stay there, get my showers in, and work on my YouTube channel, school work, or whatever. They even said that they'll give me their Wi-Fi password the next time I come by so I can get stuff done, because they're literally so far away from phone reception that I might as well use their Wi-Fi. I just didn't get it last time because I literally got in at 10 o'clock at night and I was only there one night. If I had stayed there another night, I definitely would have gotten it. But I knew I was only there the one night. There was no reason for me to ask for it the one night because my friends probably might have given it to me, but I was just kind of like, that's kind of rude. I'm not going to do that, so I didn't. So anyhow, aside from that, the money saving tip number 3 I wanted to get into was I always stock up on some kind of groceries, which is also why I'm so thankful that TJ always has groceries on him. You'd be surprised by how much that helps you. And actually, I'm going to use that further on, in another example. I believe I'm going to get into that more in money saving tip 4 or 5 and why the grocery thing is such a big deal. So, as far as like what do I actually, it's money saving tip number 5 now I remember. So, as far as like what do I usually purchase as far or what do I expect them to have like for groceries, and I obviously will reimburse them if or I have reimbursed him anyhow if he already has the groceries. I always like to have him or have I always like him to have at least a 40 pack of water bottles. I go through a lot of water, especially when I'm in Florida where it's ridiculously hot. Excuse me, I need the water to be able to stay hydrated. Excuse me, otherwise I'll be passing out. And trust me, the last thing you want to do when you go to a theme park is to be spending a ton of money on drinks. And that's why I always like him to have all that water on him, because what we will do is we'll pack up a bag of all these cold water bottles and we'll take it with us to the park, and we always bring a stroller. I actually got him into that one. My mom always had us get a stroller, and we would pack a lunch. We always called it baby lunch, as stupid as it sounds, but he liked it so much he started doing it, which is hilarious. But trust me, it works because of the fact that you put the lunchbox in the stroller, you push the stroller around the entire park. People might look at you weird, but hey, you know what? You're saving yourself money because every time you need a water, you just reach into the lunchbox and you get whatever drink you need out of it. And instead of walking up to some counter service, whatever, and buying a drink for like $3 to $5, instead you're reaching into your lunchbox, and that's $3 to $5 you're saving every single time. Trust me, it works. And I know there's a lot of people that just like to just ride off of the food and beverages that Disney sells, and you know what? I get it. But I also know that there are people that might take my advice and they'll start like packing drinks and packing snacks, which you trust me, you want to do that too. Because you really want to make sure that you have some kind of snack to munch on while you're at the park, or you don't necessarily want to spend your money if you're like staying on or off property somewhere and like on breakfast. Instead, you want to be able to go for whatever snacks you already brought with you. Disney resorts don't care if you bring food into their resorts. You can eat whatever you bring with you. Disney has not yet said that you can't do that. So keep doing it if you're not doing it, or if you're already doing it. And if you haven't started, then do it. Start doing it because it will save you a lot of money. But anyhow, so money saving tip number 4 is I always pack whatever toiletries that I can into my suitcase or my carry-on bag or whatever. Like, I always make sure that whatever prescription medication, I'm not going to say what I take or why I take it for, but I'm going to say that right now I do have to take prescription medication for medical problems or medical reasons or whatever. And I always make sure I have a full thing of it or at least a lot of it whenever I go on vacation somewhere, whether it's to Canada or, man, it's kind of dark in here. Whether it's to Canada or whether I'm going down to Florida, I always like to make sure that I always have plenty of medication. You know what? I'm going to go turn on the overhead light. Night and day difference. Now you guys can see me much better. So, like I was saying, it really makes a difference when you have like everything you need. But what I do end up doing normally is I don't like to pack shampoo or conditioner, Bars of soap is okay, but I usually just wait till I get to Florida anyway. So the reason why I stopped doing it is because I learned the hard way on a trip to Florida one time, or just on a road trip, or just a trip somewhere in general, that when I opened the suitcase, my bottle of shampoo decided to explode, and it ended up causing a lot more problems than it was worth. So I have decided that yeah, it's just not worth packing like shampoo or whatever anymore in my suitcase, if you catch my drift. So I was like, yeah, I think oh my word, this stupid glare, I'm so sorry. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and wait until I get to Florida. As long as I spend less than $10, it ain't gonna kill me or whatever. I know how to go to Walmart and spend roughly $10 or less on toiletries. You'd be surprised. It's easy for me to do. So money saving tip number 5, I promised you guys that money saving tip number 3 would tie into money saving tip number 5. So money saving tip number 5 is I always stop at Publix before I go to the majority of the Central Florida theme parks. It's very rare that I go to a theme park for like half a day or whatever, or that I hit up like Golden Corral or CC's instead. So the reason why I always stop at Publix on my way over is because I can literally get a half a sub for as cheap as $6, and depending on what kind of sub I want, which I like the chicken tender, I can get one a foot long for about $11. As insane as that is, because it didn't used to be that way. And I can share that with another friend. And the chicken tenders or chicken tender subs are really, really good. Now, $11 might still seem like a lot, but trust me, it's better than spending $40 on 2 people for lunch at Walt Disney World. And that's not even a joke. There is a pizza and pasta buffet at Legoland. I don't remember the name of it offhand, but the point is, for just one person, it's about $15 to $20. And that's without any discount whatsoever. That's why I always like to travel with some kind of employee whenever I go, because of the fact that I get a discount. Now, obviously, not everybody has an employee friend, so I can't exactly use that money-saving tip whenever with this YouTube video, because everybody's like, man, I wish I had an employee friend. Yeah, I'm sure. So instead, we're going to use something that I know everybody can use. And that's why I'm sharing these tips that not only I use, but anybody can use. And actually, I'm going to copy the link for this YouTube video and send it to a close friend of mine that would like to go to Central Florida next year when he or she can afford it. And hopefully by then this person's financial situation, because we're all of us have some kind of financial situation. Trust me, my financial situation is not that great, which is why I'm living with my parents. But hopefully this person's financial situation will be better by then, without giving specifics. And maybe me and this person can go to Central Florida, for example, by that point. So that would be kind of nice. That would also be very fun. But that's another reason why I wanted to do this YouTube video. But also, I was hoping I could share this knowledge of everybody. I figured it would be kind of cool to tell everybody what I do to save money, because I've never actually done that before. And it hit me today out of nowhere. I was like, I have not done that yet. I really have not. And you'd be surprised, not only does eating half of a Publix sub fill me up considerably, but also I pack some stuff from the house, or I'll get like a light snack, and if I'm really feeling ambitious, I'll buy like a pint of Publix lemonade or chocolate milk or whatever and bring that with me. Normally, though, my go to is water bottles, which I always have plenty of those. And also, I take advantage of the courtesy water that a lot of the theme parks offer, so I don't feel like I absolutely have to drink nothing but the water bottles I bring from the house. So, money saving tip number 6 that I've been using for quite some time now, but mostly over the past 3 years. I eat at a lot of chain restaurants, like local chain restaurants. I understand that not everybody goes down to Central Florida and just goes and eats at like Chili's or IHOP or CC's or Golden Corral. There's like I didn't go to Central Florida so I can go eat at anything I can eat at back at home or whatever. No, I came down here so I can go eat at Disney World or Universal or whatever. I understand that. And I don't expect anybody to follow my advice on that one. But if go down every single year like I do, and you go down on a very tight budget, maybe you should consider using these tips. But if you saved up your whole life and you have like thousands of dollars to throw away, then go for it. I can't stop you. And if this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity for you, then just ignore this tip. But for me, what I usually do is I always like to hit up Red Robin right off the bat when I get down there, because I don't go to Red Robin all that often, and also I know for a fact that Red Robin is on my way down to Lake Wales, so it's actually very convenient, and it's not too far from the airport either. It's about 20-30 minutes depending on traffic. Also, I always like to hit up CC's and Golden Corral, and I usually go to CC's out near Disney. That way I can go there for lunch instead of like going to Publix, for example. And then Golden Corral, I always like to go there on like a Saturday morning. That way I can go and have breakfast, and that way I'm all set for the day. And I always make sure I have plenty of food so I don't feel hungry until like later that day. Another thing I've been doing is like at oh sorry, let me start over. Another thing I always like to do whenever I go to Central Florida, excuse me, I like to eat at Wawa, and I intentionally always pick the Wawa off of Highway 27 in Davenport, right by I-4, Interstate 4, which runs from Daytona Beach, which is on the East Coast, all the way to Tampa, which is on the West Coast. The reason why I always pick that particular Wawa, if you saw my YouTube video back earlier this week, you would understand, but I'm going to go ahead and repeat it anyway. My close friend Kay, I've known for almost 10 years, is not a huge fan of Wawa. And she probably goes there a lot already because of TJ. And she doesn't stop and think about it 99% of the time that my closest Wawa is all the way out in Pennsylvania, which is over 10 hours away, at least. Or I can drive 14 hours south and go all the way to a Wawa down in Florida. So in other words, I have no choice but to drive a very long time to get to either one. But considering she's only about 15 minutes away from Wawa, and I mean the one in Winter Haven, she doesn't stop and think about it. She doesn't. Sometimes I honestly think she forgets I live in another state. If she doesn't think and forget most of the time. How unfortunate is that? It's like I'm able to comprehend that I live in Kentucky and she lives in Florida, but unfortunately she's not able to do the same thing for me. Oh, well, tough luck. But it is what it is. So, because I care very much and because I'm a true friend, and I understand that she does not always like Wawa, nor does she always want to eat there, I always pick the one by Chick-fil-A because I always let her have that as an option. I'm like, no, you don't have to eat at Wawa. I understand that. You can go over to Chick-fil-A instead. I've even gone as far as saying, here, I'll pay for you. Because just like a lot of people, including myself, and also some people I know on a personal level up here in Kentucky without giving names, I know how it feels to be broke. I know how it feels to be tight on money. And that's why I'm used to him helping out Kay with financial situations. I'm used to making sure that not only am I bringing enough money for myself, but I'm bringing enough money for her too, which is something else I've never shared before. I usually have to help out both myself and her whenever I go down to Florida. And then you ask yourself, or you're probably asking me on the other side of the camera, why do you even bother to go down to Florida if you can't even like just take care of yourself? You have to go take care of everybody else. I'm a little too kind for my taste, and that's a problem. I know. I really do know. Eh. I think that's also why I'm struggling with money so much, is because I care so much that I end up hurting myself in the process. And I know I have to keep telling myself, David, if you're going to hurt yourself in the process, then don't do it. And I understand that sometimes I have to tell Kay now, but unfortunately she's pretty good at guilt tripping me, not necessarily manipulating me, but I start feeling bad, and that's why I keep handing her over money. My own fault, I admit it. I've really got to put a backbone or get a backbone, or I've really got to just pull her aside and let her know that I can't always do that. You know, it's hard. It is really hard, especially since I've known her almost 10 years now. But anyway, enough of that rant. So, money saving tip number 7 that I always like to use is, if I drive, I always like to bring my own rain gear. If I am not able to do that, I always like to see if one of my friends, like Kay, for example, is bringing rain gear. Kate always brings her rain gear to the theme parks every single time, because you never know with Florida. And you'd be surprised. Buying rain gear at Disney is not cheap. And buying rain gear, period, anywhere in Central Florida is not cheap. So I always like to make sure that my friends have some kind of rain gear for everybody, not just themselves, but for everybody. And that really makes a difference. Because that's $20 I just saved. If honestly worst came to worst, if I really still felt like throwing away $20, I could go buy a cheap umbrella and use that while I'm down there, and then just leave it there. But once again, not necessary. But I could just borrow one of their raincoats and then just give it back to them at the end of the week. Money saving tip number 8. I'm gonna stop at 10, and that's it. But money saving tip number 8 that I like to use a lot is, back to the restaurant thing. I like to eat at buffets because of the fact that you can either eat first thing in the morning and then you'll be good all day long, or I like to eat in the middle of the day, and that way I'm eating something light for breakfast, and then I'm good for until the end of the day. On a side note, on top of money saving tip number 8, I also like to make pit stops at Wawa. Once again, going back to that again, because of the fact that I can literally go to Wawa and go get my coffee for $1 or $2, or I can go to Wawa and go get myself a free water, or if I really am feeling hungry, if, like, say for example, I didn't have time to eat breakfast in the morning, I'll go and grab a grab-and-go sandwich from Wawa for just a couple of bucks. I can get my breakfast and coffee, or both, for less than $5, or roughly $5. That's actually not bad at all. Yes, it adds up every single day. But unfortunately, depending on who I stay with, will determine whether I decide, do I want to stop at Walmart or Publix and buy myself a box of cereal to last me for the week, or am I just going to be go, go, go all week long and just stop at Wawa every single day. And honestly, yes, I would rather have the cereal. And I strongly believe when I go back in the future and stay at the Vergara's, my close friends down there, it'd be a lot easier for me to buy a box of cereal, like a big box of cereal, and myself like a gallon of like almond milk or whatever, and literally just love off of that for a week. And there we go. I just saved myself about $40, just like that, because I don't have to worry about go 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 everywhere like TJ's always used to. Money saving tip number 9 that I like to use is when I go out to eat somewhere, I'm always ordering water. I only order soda one time during the entire trip, and that's at the Disney restaurant that I always pick. And that's actually money saving tip number 10 that I always like to use, which is I only eat at one super nice restaurant, which for me is personally Disney. I always make at least one exception to eat at Disney the entire trip, and that's going to be like the one and only time until the following year. So I have to make a very careful decision when I'm deciding where I'm going to eat at Disney and when I'm going to do it. For me, this trip, it was back to a Spring Canyon Cafe again. So that was the one and only time this year that I stopped and ate at a Walt Disney World restaurant. And I had to keep in the back of my mind that I was not just paying for myself, but I was also paying for TJ. Actually, not Kay, because somebody else was covering Kay. I'm just trying to remember. I really don't remember anymore, to be honest. I know that Kay couldn't really afford it, but I think she had just enough money to make it work. But I was expecting to pay for him, her, and myself, but thankfully Kay would not allow it that time. I was like, oh, thank God for that. But I knew it was TJ's birthday, which is also why I was willing to pay for him, because it was a pact we had made. I would always buy his birthday dinner every single year that we went out for his birthday. So I was kind of in a tough spot no matter what. But otherwise, that was literally the most expensive dinner or meal I ever paid the entire trip, because the night I went to Osaka, that did not cost me anything. The only thing I paid for, and that was out of the goodness of my heart, was for Andy's, which is a ice cream place in Winter Haven, Florida. I would strongly encourage you to check it out. And that's off of another Highway 17. Very, very confusing considering there's two 17s in Central Florida alone. So, as a joke between TJ and I, we always like to call the 17 that Andy's Igloo is off of K's 17, and then the alternate 27, which TJ and I call 17, R17, because that's the 17 that I'm familiar with. I had a fun with my brother. We used to go to the movies a lot when we were living in Lake Wales. We still go to the movies a lot, but I felt like we went more when I was living down there because of the fact that I had all this excess money I didn't know what to do with that I wish I had now. And whenever we were going to the movies, we would always come upon this area called Mountain Lake Cutoff Road, and I could either keep going straight down Highway 17 towards Chalet Suzanne Road, which eventually would, if I turned left and I went down that road long enough, it would take me over to the Eagle Ridge Mall, which is exactly where the movie theater was at. Or I could turn left onto Mountain Lake Cutoff Road, turn right into Highway 27 and take that for about 5 minutes, and turn right over by the Bob Evans, which is where the same exact entrance that I take to get to the movie theater. And I always like to joke around with my brother, especially when I was driving my mom's old Chrysler Voyager. I would literally go, okay, Jonathan, flip a coin. I would yank out the coin thing. I was like, and then my brother would just take his hand and go slam right back into the car. He was like, nope, we're going 27, and sometimes I would really like to get on his nerves, and if he didn't want to flip a coin, I just keep going straight, and he'd go. Oh my word, good days, good days. It was just so much fun just to get on his nerves. I mean, obviously those days are over now, but I've been living in Kentucky long enough that I've started feeling more comfortable about sharing some of my favorite memories that I had down in Central Florida, and I'm starting to feel more like home up here in Kentucky, and it's still just kind of fun to think and reminisce those good old days, and it's cool having, new memories and making new friends, but, it still saddens me to see that my friends are dealing with so much up here, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're just getting closer to the end times, but once again, only God really knows when the end times is. So, as a conclusion, I would definitely encourage everybody to try to follow all of my 10 money saving tips that I personally use whenever I go to Central Florida, and hopefully this helped you guys, and hopefully this also gave you guys not just a chance to get to know me better, but also to see how I've managed to save so much money going to Central Florida for the past 3 years. And Lord willing, I'll go there next year if, for whatever reason, this Las Vegas trip or trip out to Virginia does not work out. And also, I am going to call this YouTube video my personal 10 money saving tips that I use when I go down to when I go to Central Florida, or something to that extent. So, in the meantime, I will see you guys in the next vlog. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great night. Peace out.